Okay, so I'm going to make a start. So welcome everybody to tonight's webinar. As you can see there, this one is called Personal Development. And all of these webinars are recorded, and I'll explain at the end where they all are. But basically, if you miss any of it this evening, or you just want to go back over part of it, then you can go back over the recording. You don't have to wait till the next time it comes around. I do about one a week, every Wednesday evening this time. It usually takes 8 or 9 weeks to get around the whole lot. There's the odd Wednesday that I can't make it, so it could be 9 or 10 weeks altogether. And it's a series of 8, and as you can see there, the first 2 or 3 are really about the retail side of the business. Then 4 and 5 I talk about team building and supporting your team members, and the last 3 are really kind of personal development, the kind of personal skills, if you like, that will help you grow your business once you know how to do some retail and how to team build. And tonight we're finishing off with personal development, so hopefully that this will round everything off nicely for everybody. So what is personal development? What are we going to talk about? So personal development is a process of self-education, and it's where you learn skills and knowledge that you've chosen that you want to learn in order to improve the quality of your life. I think that's a reasonable definition. So it's not like school. It's not like you're told you have to learn Latin, maths, geometry, biology, chemistry and woodwork, and you can actually decide what it is you want to learn. And why is that important? Well, in the last module we talked about the fact that when you start off as a Kleeneze distributor, we all have the same opportunity. We all have the same catalogues, the same products. We can all get onto Facebook if we want to. We can all go deliver our catalogues if we want to. However, despite that, some will succeed and some won't. And we kind of explained why your attitude is so important to your success. So what can you do then to make sure that you are one of the ones that succeed? And what I'm proposing to you is that you can educate yourself. Jim Rohn said, formal education will make you a living, basically what you learn at school. Self-education will make you a fortune. So I reckon that's worth investigating if Jim says so. I just want to give you a little example about why I think self-education tends to work a lot better than school education. When I was at school, I thought I was reasonably bright. I thought I got a bunch of O levels and some A levels. I went to university for a year, but I was pretty immature really. I wasn't really ready for that, so I dropped out after a year. Went and did some work, and while I'd been at school, I got a couple of O levels in languages. I got a B in French. That was mainly due to the fact that we had a really good teacher, and I got an E in German because I didn't really care. I didn't have any plans to go to Germany. I didn't quite understand why we needed to learn German, so I just didn't really work very hard. However, 15 years later, I took those O levels again, probably the GCSEs they were called then, and I got an A in French and an A in German. Now you might ask yourself, did I suddenly develop a fantastic skill for languages? And the answer, of course, is no. The reason that I got those grades was that I worked really hard because I wanted to. Basically what had happened was I worked for a company. The company got bought out by a French company, and there were some opportunities to go and work in Paris. And I thought, oh, that sounds pretty exciting. I fancy doing that. And so I went to evening class to learn French, and I did my GCSE again. And because I had a goal, I had this kind of vision that I just fancied the idea of working in Paris. I worked really hard on that evening class, got my French O level, I got a grade A, because I wanted to, because I worked hard. Now, in fact, I never actually went to Paris, never got the opportunity to go and work there. Sometime later, I then went to another company that was actually owned by a German company. And exactly the same, really. I thought, you know what, I fancied the opportunity. And there were opportunities to go and work in Berlin and Bonn and different parts of Germany. So I went evening class again, got a grade A in my GCSEs, and did actually go and work in Germany for a year in and out. So that was really, really worthwhile for me. The point that I was trying to make in that example was that because I wanted to do it, I worked a lot harder at it. And because I worked hard, I got the results I wanted. So hold that thought, bear that in mind. So that's all very well, unless you guys are thinking of doing French GCSE and German GCSE. Let's bring this back to Kleeneze. Why do people join Kleeneze? Now, in my experience, most people don't join Kleeneze because they have a passion for delivering catalogues. They join Kleeneze because they see it as an opportunity to improve their life somehow. So, when you joined Kleeneze, and that might be within the last week or so, I know certainly Liz Muscat, I was chatting to earlier, joined just recently, and some guys, I know John Hawke, Peter and Myrna there, have been in the business for a little longer than that. Did you have in mind, can you remember what was the change that you wanted in your life that made you think about Kleeneze? So I'm not asking you to write that down or tell me what it is, but try and get that picture in your mind of what you imagined Kleeneze would do for you. Now, the question I've got for you is, have you achieved it yet? Now, I know some people on the conference tonight have been in Kleeneze for a long time and have a very successful life, a very successful Kleeneze business. So I'm guessing you're kind of reasonably happy with your lifestyle. But if you've been in the business for a little while and you're still kind of working and building it up and so on, then it might be that you haven't quite achieved it yet. So what do you need to do to achieve that lifestyle that you were hoping for? So I'm going to try and break that down for you a little bit. So to get that improved lifestyle, typically you need some results. And those results could be orders from your customers. It could be you build it up to a nice customer base, so you've got a nice regular income coming in from that. It might be that you want to get some team members and start to build that residual income. So those are the results, if you like, and by achieving those results, that might give you the income or the freedom of time to provide that lifestyle that you had in mind. But in order to get those results, you need to take some actions. And those actions could be typically delivering your catalogues regularly, putting them in and out once or twice a week. Might be that you need to speak to people about the opportunity and share the opportunity with other people to start to build your team. So those are the actions that you need to take. Now, as we discussed last time, sometimes you know what to do, you know what the actions are, but you need the right attitude to do it. You know, if you get up in the morning and it's raining and you think, you know, this weather's not very good, perhaps I'll put my catalogues out tomorrow instead. And then the next day, you know, you're not feeling too well, or little Jimmy's poorly, so you have to stay in with Jimmy. And then before you know it, it's 3 weeks later, you never got your catalogues out, and you think, you know, this isn't working, I'm not going to bother. So if you have the right attitude, then you can take those actions. And that right attitude is basically that, you know, if other people have done this, I can do it. You know, nothing's going to stop me. And that attitude is a great leveler, if you like. If you've got the attitude, you can do whatever you want. And your attitude, whether it's good or bad, whether it's a positive attitude, whether you tend to be a negative person, that's based on your philosophies on life. And I'm going to expand on that in a moment. But if you've got good philosophies that give you this great attitude, so you're generally a positive thinker, you generally look at the bright side of things, and that positive attitude leads you to take the action regularly when you know you should do it, then if you're taking those actions, you are going to get the results, and that will lead you to that lifestyle. So I hope you'll kind of see there, this isn't just about join Kleeneze, you have a fantastic lifestyle. You need to take some actions, you need to build a good attitude if you don't have one at the moment, and you can work on that. If you're struggling sometimes for motivation and you feel your get up and go has got up and gone, then there's things you can do about that. So as I've said there, good philosophy will give you the right attitude, will lead to some good regular actions which will give you the results that hopefully will lead you to the lifestyle that you are looking for. So that's all great. How do you get yourself a good philosophy? Well, you can start off, a good place to start off are the books that you read. It's also CDs that you listen to. If you're not a great reader, I've got to admit, when I first started off, I struggled to read books well, but I loved listening to audio CD. You can stick them in your car while you're driving about, and you can kind of listen to it. It's also the people you associate with. There's lots and lots of opportunities in Kleeneze to go to meetings, to go to the millionaires meetings, the national conferences, the 10 steps training that Neil Young runs. There's all sorts of great training available to us. And if you go there, you're associating with like-minded, positive, successful people, and that will have a big influence on your own attitudes and philosophies. So you can educate yourself. You can start a program of personal development. And anyone can do this. You don't have to be, you don't have to have a degree, you don't have to have a diploma, you don't have to have anything other than a desire to improve your life. Jim Rohn said, the greatest value in achieving success is not the money you make, but the person you become. And personal development is the strategy, if you like, that will change the person you are and make you become a different person. An example Jim wrote was, if you can imagine 2 millionaires, suppose one is a millionaire because he bought a winning lottery ticket, and the other chap is a millionaire because he started from scratch, he built a business, he came up with a fantastic idea, kind of worked hard, got to the success that he needed and became a millionaire. So you've got two people and you might say they're both successful, they both kind of got a good lifestyle. If they both then came upon a problem that meant all their money had gone, the successful person who had bought a lottery ticket probably doesn't have a lot of choice now but to keep buying lottery tickets. However, the entrepreneur who's got skills and contacts and knowledge and experience can make themselves another million simply by reapplying all of those knowledge. So it's the person that he's become that is more valuable than the money itself. So that's why the personal development side of this business is so important. So a good place to start with your personal development is to start reading 10 pages of a good book every day. So I don't mean Harry Potter. Harry Potter is a great book. I'm a big fan. But there are books that are what I would call entertainment. So great for relaxing, go down the beach, read a nice book or a bit of bedtime reading or whatever, that's fantastic. But if you pick a book that you study, and I'm going to make some recommendations in a moment. I know I've recommended some books in the recent webinars as well. If you read 10 pages of these books, and even with 115 days off in a year, so like every weekend and one day during the week or whatever, that's still 2,500 pages a year. So that's probably 10 good books. And if you study 10 good books each year, that is a fantastic education. As I said, if you're not great at reading, then get yourself these audio CDs and stick them in your car. You can listen to 10 minutes of an audio CD, easy peasy, just driving, doing the school run or on the way to work or wherever you might use it. Just sat at home on the CD player while you're having your tea or something. You can listen to 10 minutes easily. And another thing to think about is who you are spending your time with. And another good quote that I believe is very true as well. If the 4 people you spend most of your time with are broke, you'll probably find that you're the 5th. So think about who you spend most of your time with. If you're spending your time with people who are ambitious and enthusiastic and challenging and supportive, then you're likely to be much more successful than if you're spending time with people who are negative and struggling to make a sort of success of life and struggling on. And you can choose who you spend your time with. So, philosophies. When I first started reading about philosophies, I struggled a little bit to understand what people meant, especially Jim Rohn, who was one of my favourite authors, talks about his life philosophies. And it kind of took me a while to get my head around it a little bit. So don't worry if you're not quite sure what I'm getting at here. But I just want to explain a couple of kind of ideas that hopefully will help you a little bit. So, one of the philosophies that Jim Rohn talks about is take responsibility for everything going on in your life. Now what he means by that is, if you start to blame someone or something for something that's happening, you lose the ability to do anything. So for example, if you're moaning that your boss won't give you a pay rise, then you've got 2 options here. You can say, oh, it's my boss's fault. Until I get a new boss, or he changes his ways, or the company do something different, there's no way I'm going to get a pay rise. And because you're feeling like that, there's nothing you can do about it. You already said, well, there's nothing I can do. It's up to my boss to give me my pay rise. So you've lost the ability to do anything at all about that. Or what you could do is approach your boss and say, do I need some skills or experience or something that would give me a good chance of being promoted to get a pay rise? And he might say, oh yeah, well, if you did this, if you had this qualification, or you improved in this area, then that would give you a great chance for moving up. And so you could take an evening class, whatever it might be. You could choose to do something about it. And even if you take the evening class and you gain the qualification and you don't get a pay rise, that's actually putting you in a much better place. So if you wanted to, you could apply for another job within the same company or a different company. And that skill and that experience, apart from anything else, it's that you are taking responsibility for your paycheck. It's nothing to do with the boss. It's to do with you and your approach to it. So I hope that kind of makes sense. And I find that a really useful one. If you take responsibility for it, it will rain on us all. But if you think, right, I'm just going to put a raincoat on, it's up to me whether I go out or not, it's nothing to do with the weather, then you've got much more control over whether you're successful or not. Another thing that I really like, and I try to teach to all my team members, is it's really difficult sometimes in life when you've got lots of other commitments. You might have work, you might have children, and so on. And so if someone says, oh, why don't you come along to this meeting, or oh, why don't you get a few more catalogues out, and that will help you to build a bigger customer base. It's easy to say, oh, I don't really have time to do that. I've got all these other things I need to do. And again, you're kind of passing the blame onto something else, the other things in your life, or the fact there's only 24 hours in a day. But what is much better is to say, I understand that there's only 24 hours, but I choose to spend my time doing this. Now, you might choose to spend your time at work, to spend your time with your family, to spend your time watching Coronation Street, to spend your time at the movies, whatever you choose to do. And that's entirely up to you. But if you say, this is what I'm choosing to spend my time on, then if you want to, you could choose to spend your time on something else, something that might lead you to become more successful. And by choosing what you spend your time on, what you'll find is, again, you feel more in control. So that by feeling in control, you find that keeps stress low. You're not feeling, oh God, I really want to do all this stuff, but I just don't have time for it. You're saying, I really want to do all this stuff. So what I'm going to do is, instead of going to the movies twice a week and watching Coronation Street, I'm going to stop doing those things, and instead I'm going to do this. And that just gives you that power to do something about it. So there's a few little philosophies there. Another little one there, there's a couple of books that I'm going to recommend in a moment that talk about this a lot more. Success is not a major decision that you made once, and failure is not a huge bad error. Success is just a few correct decisions that you repeat every day, and failure is just a few errors in judgment that you repeat every day. So what I mean by that is, if you're trying to lose weight, it's you can't just suddenly say, right, I'm going to stop eating for a month and lose weight. You can't make a decision like that. What you have to do is decide every day, I'm going to eat an apple instead of that chocolate bar, and then I'm going to have that fruit juice instead of the pint of beer, or whatever it might be. And just tiny little decisions like that, repeated every day, will lead to your success. However, if you decide, oh, I'm going to have that chocolate bar now, or I'm going to have a pint of beer anyway because I need it to help me relax at the end of the day, those little failures will lead to increase in weight instead of loss in weight. So it's just little decisions that are really important. And the same is true in this business. If you're thinking, oh, 50 catalogues isn't going to make a huge difference, I won't be able to put them out this week, I'll do it next week instead. Or perhaps I won't bother putting any leaflets out at the moment, I'm feeling a bit tired. Or I'm not going to read that book tonight because I'm just so exhausted, I'm not going to get those 10 pages done. Those little decisions, whether you do them or not, if you repeat those every day, they'll soon mount up to make a huge difference in your success. And one last philosophy, which is really, really important to this business, the network marketing industry, is all about this. It's if you help enough people get what they want out of life, you can have anything that you want out of life. And you will find that's really valuable in this business, especially if you start becoming a team leader and you get to meet people who are looking to help, looking for some changes in their life. And if you can help them get what they want, then as a result, you will achieve enormous success yourself. So I mentioned a little bit about books and reading 10 good pages a day. That is a good place to start your personal development. And I'm just going to go very briefly through a bunch of books that I recommend. So the first guy, this is one of my favourite authors, favourite speakers, a chap called Jim Rohn. There's a CD called Building Your Network Marketing Business. I think that's my first and my favourite kind of personal development book. Well, it's a CD, as I said. And it's basically about Jim's strategies and philosophies about network marketing. So it's not specific to Kleeneze. It's about building a team, but the figures that he talks about, the numbers and so on, are just as valid in terms of putting your catalogues out as well. So that's a great place to start. And it's a CD, probably, I can't remember, 45 minutes, an hour at the most. So really easy to listen to. And then if you like Jim Rohn, then the next book you'll find really, really useful. 7 Strategies for Wealth and Happiness by Jim. And that's all about goal setting. He talks a bit about spending your money and investing it well. And this is where really I learned about life philosophies and different areas of thinking about your relationships in your life and so on. So that's a really, really good book. The next two, The Slight Edge by Jeff Olson, and The Compound Effect by Darren Hardy. And they're both on a similar vein, and basically what they're saying, it's not the big decisions, it's the little ones that you make every day that determines your success. So either of those I think will be really, really good. I like Darren Hardy personally, so that's the one I would recommend, but The Slight Edge is also a great book. And then the last one's here, the next one there, How to Win Friends and Influence People. I really like this one. This is a chap called Dale Carnegie. And this book is from the 1930s. It's around about I think Dale was doing some studies, and basically he was like a salesman going into these large American steel kind of companies trying to sell stuff. And he was really, really struggling. And what he found was, instead of going in trying to sell things, if he went in and showed an interest in people and was nice to them and found out what interested them, then building that relationship, quite often people would just sort of say, oh, look, you've been really, really helpful. I really appreciate what you've been doing for me. And what is it you're looking to do? And he was getting his sales kind of quadrupled just because he spent a bit of time listening to and understanding people. And that's what that's about. And that's a really great way to move on in life. And that will help you in relationships and business and health and all sorts. The next one there, another Darren Hardy book. I do like Darren Hardy stuff. And this one is more like a workbook. It's called Design Your Best Year Ever. And it's a great way to set and achieve goals. So it takes a 12-month period. So it doesn't have to start on January the 1st. It just takes a 12-month period and explains how to determine what you want to achieve in that year and break it down into monthly and weekly chunks and daily steps. And just managing and monitoring and tracking that, and you'd be amazed how much you can achieve in these periods by monitoring things regularly. And I really like that because it just kind of gives a structure about your goals, rather than just on the 1st of January saying, I want to drive a Ferrari, and then the sort of 31st of December you're sort of saying, oh, well, that didn't happen, and nothing in between. And the last book, The Chimp Paradox by Steve Peters. Steve Peters was, I can't remember exactly, a psychologist basically. He worked with the British Olympic cycling team. British track cycling had a kind of fairly mixed history, not great, not lots of success, but they started to build things up and started to do quite well. And they found that one of the biggest improvements they could make was in the mindsets of the athletes. So an athlete, when you're under pressure on the semi-final ride in the Olympic Games or something like that against somebody you've never beaten before, a lot of people in that situation would be beaten before they even start. And Steve started to talk to people about understanding how your brain works and how to deal with unhelpful emotions like fear and stress and worry and all these things. And it's a fantastic book for just learning about yourself, but also learning about why other people react in certain ways in certain circumstances, and that just helps you to deal with those really, really well. So that's a great book. Definitely recommend that. Okay, so this is really just a start. This webinar is far too short to try to create a program for you now, but hopefully I've given you some inspiration to make a start yourself. If anybody wants a bit more detail on any of those books or what they're about, or anything else really that I've talked about this evening, please let me know. And we're coming towards the end now. I reckon I usually try and make it about half an hour, so we're about there now. So that's the end of this webinar. Next week we're kind of going back to the beginning again, starting with getting started. However, you don't have to wait till then. If you just started the business and you want to learn a bit more about the retail bits, the getting started in the first 4 weeks, all of these webinars are recorded, and I'm going to show you where you can find the recordings if you'd like them. I'm just going to turn off this recording now.